Hi everybody and welcome back to the lounge. And if it's your first time here, a genuine heartfelt thanks for joining us here. This is a community where we are in a safe space and where we all quite keen on the concept of mental health awareness, as well as creating an environment where we can have just frank conversations about any topic really. And today we are going to be adventuring a bit into a series of mental health and physical activity, and the first part being feeling low. So just to caveat here a bit, that feeling low can cover a wide variety of different aspects in mental health. And we're not looking at a specific mental health aspect, but the overarching concept of feeling low. So be that anything from clinical depression through to just a mood alteration or a small period of feeling elated and dropping. So we're looking at just an overall term for that. And also looking at what the physical remedy for that is, because bearing in mind that if we're addressing a wide array of topics, then it also means that the remedy is going to need to be adjusted accordingly. So if we just dive straight in, I'll tell you what I mean. So the remedy, the physical activity remedy for feeling low is movement. Yeah, you heard it, movement. So if we just delve a bit into what it means to feel low from a physiological point of view, it means that our cells are being depleted from energy. So the mitochondria is not developing as much ATP, which is the source of energy in our cells, and therefore it basically leaves us with a negligible level of energy. So if you get to that point where you're like, I don't understand why I am feeling the way I do and I've done nothing, it's often a buildup of this. So if we take it a step back, if we run in quite stressful lifestyles, the stress hormone cortisol shoots up. So if we consistently do this over time, if we consistently stress ourselves out either with perceived or real dangers as such, or things that we find distressing, then it means that our cortisol levels will rise up, which will also cause our adrenal glands to generate adrenaline. So that goes up. But these two aspects were meant to be raised in times of a real danger. So back in the day with our ancestors, they would have come across a real danger, so a lion or whatever else it is putting their lives in danger. And therefore they would have had this fight and flight response, which is exactly that, the cortisol and the adrenal raises. And then they would be able to have that spike of energy to run. However, in today's day, we hardly ever face the real dangers, but we have these dangers in our minds, which create a very real fight and flight response. So the body is reacting in a very physical way to what it perceives to be a threat. And yes, although it's not a physical threat, it still is perceived as a threat, and the body deals with it in exactly the same way as what it would do if, for instance, a dog was chasing you. So bearing that in mind, and then also what happens on the hormonal level with dopamine, which is the happy hormone, that sinks down, that gets depleted as well. So you're left with very low energy and a very low mood. And if we think of movement though, that creates more oxygen in the lungs, which sends more oxygen to the brain, and therefore we have more oxygen to go around the body to fulfill the tasks, to allow the mitochondria to use that oxygen to create more ATP or more energy. So you can see that movement helps, and in fact more activity will allow endorphins to be released, which is the genuine feeling of elation, that hit you get after exercise if you did a high intensity workout. It's that feeling of like, wow, okay, yeah, I really feel this is pretty cool. So when we look at movement then as the physical remedy, or the counteract for the mental feeling of low, then we look at that spectrum that I spoke of in the beginning. So if you are clinically depressed, then the movement of getting out of bed and making the bed is a fantastic movement, and that is okay if that is all you can muster for that day. So if I go back to July last year, so 2019, when I got diagnosed with clinical depression, I remember chatting with a friend of mine and saying, how do people over there that are cycling and running get the energy to do any of that stuff? And she said, well, you were like that. You used to do this stuff. And in that moment, I could not fathom how anyone could have that and possess that energy tank to be able to do that, nor could I even put my mental eye gaze on, if you may, to be able to see how I would ever get there. So just a matter for me to get up and get out of bed was a fantastic movement. In fact, that was my win for the day. So don't despise that. And also we can delve into the area of comparisons here. There is no joy in comparing, because there'll always be someone that's better than you. And also that means that you taking away the concept that you are authentically and uniquely you. You are made to be exactly you. And even if that is in a state of feeling low, that doesn't mean that that needs to change and that we need to look at how other people are either recovering or progressing, or where they are in the social ladder of life. And so this is just a few things that we are looking at in this feeling low session. So then also likewise, if you're not clinically depressed, but you're quite functional in either feeling low or in having dysfunction depression, so where it's a long term of feeling low over several years. So, and you're just not at that point where you can be diagnosed with clinical depression, then that is also to take that into consideration. Well, maybe I can muster a 7-minute HIIT workout or a 12-minute HIIT workout, or maybe just getting myself out of bed, moving myself to the front door and out towards nature to have a walk is sufficient. Or if you can, spend a time on your bike with your friends and go for a cycle, like if you have that level of energy. So it is really important just to realize that we are all different and we all process things differently. And there's no validation in putting yourself down or giving yourself a stick to beat yourself with if you are feeling low, because it is just also part of our nature of lives that we are living in today's society. There's an expectation to instantly feel better or instantly have something, where in fact we were not designed that way. So it's really so important to just have that compassion for yourself wherever you are, whether you have leaps and bounds of energy and you're on top of the world, or whether you feel like you're in the deepest, darkest dungeon with zero energy. Have that compassion to know that, this too is okay, and it's only a part of this journey. It's only a small fraction of our bigger journeys, and we should take heart in that it's not going to be like this forever. Like, things do change. Life is dynamic. There's no aspect of where we get stuck in a groove unless we allow ourselves to, and that is by not listening to our hearts and listening to what it is that we authentically, or our authentic selves, are saying. And it's just good to be able to notice that we also need people. So even in this movement, it is a fantastic idea to say, does someone want to go walking with me? Or task one of your friends to say, look, I might not want to see any people because I am isolating myself away, but please let me know when you are going for a walk, or just fetch me, drag me out the house, let's go. Or get a running team or a cycling team, or people together that will motivate you to do what you love, or if it's just to do like a boxercise class in the park, or whatever the case is, find something where you can do it with people. So that brings us to aspects of how do you know when you need to talk with someone. Talking is always advisable, and for all of the aspects of feeling low, from clinical depression to just feeling low, please find someone to talk to, be it that your best friend or a therapist. It really is just therapeutic either way. In either of these instances, it is just letting out, giving that outlet to the mind and the thoughts. And there's something powerful that happens once we speak, that those words come into effect, and we can bring things to the light where we can see what it is that we are thinking of, and somehow that doesn't have as much power anymore. So there's something, we used to do this poetry writing where we would first, after we've written on the topic, whatever that may be, we would write it and then share with the person sat next to you. And then once you've shared that, then the whole group opens up and you can share that with the entire group. So the logic behind that was that once you share something that is personal to yourself, that distances yourself one step away. So by the time you are ready to share with the group, you've already taken that one step distance, or have that one step of distance between you and the topic. So it no longer feels that heavy and personal. So if you can continue that step taking by sharing, it means that eventually you get to a point where there's no emotional, or let me rephrase, no negative emotional impacts when sharing. In fact, it can be speaking about what it is out of your lessons learned then, as opposed to feeling that it's dragging you down, which is pretty much what is happening now, where I am so far removed from the negative emotional aspects of my depression journey that at the moment I am fit and healthy and recovered enough. Still a journey, don't get us wrong, like the mental health journey, just as a physical health journey, is just that, a journey. And that never ends. Up until the day we die, it is a journey that we need to work on. It's our mental fitness and physical fitness that we need to work on. So just to say that at this part in my journey, I feel comfortable with sharing my lessons learned, if you may, and what I've observed from the loads of people around me, my friends, my experience, especially my experience during this time, and my experience that is still continuing. Because as I say, it's all dynamic and fluid, and our mental health, like the mind, needs to be constantly worked and exercised in order to remain fit and healthy. So if we just look at a few aspects where, as I said, if you feel that you don't know exactly whether you are feeling super low because you're depressed, or you're just feeling low because of circumstances. So a few things to note then is just, if you feel like you are not enjoying the things you used to, that you are isolating yourself, keeping yourself away, deliberately away from social events, and that's not been the case before. If you are either under-eating or overeating as a remedy, I wish I got the under-eating one. That is a very bad joke, but yes, under-eating or overeating, that's definitely something that can be indicative of a mood issue there. Then also looking at your interaction with people. How is your irritability level? How quickly are you being triggered? What is your relationship with the closest people like? Because that's often the people that we are closest to that we get to show our true emotions to. So how is that irritability going? Then also, if you have a severe lack of energy, where you've previously had loads of energy and now you can't even imagine waking up in the morning. So those are just a few pointers, and if you have any more that you've noticed, please put them down in the comments box. Can't remember and mention all of the ones that are applicable. However, these are just a few pointers to note. And of course, please just chat with people, chat with your friends. People are more open and receptive than what we realize to hear about our journeys. So please share some of your journeys if you feel comfortable to do so, or your remedies or anything that you've experienced in the comments below. And again, do subscribe and click that bell if you want to hear of when the next videos are coming out. And I am so grateful to have you on this journey. So if you are feeling low, move. You've got this. Breathe and move. And if you are one of those that feels like you have so much energy, you're bouncing off the walls, be grateful. That is so amazing, and that is so something to be super grateful for, because that has not always been the case for me, and that's not the case for many other people. So you're truly in a privileged position, and that gratitude is also great to build up that immune system. The parasympathetic nervous system is being increased, and you just create that mindset of joy, and that will flow out into your day, which will again increase the mood, and we'll be able to get to a very, very tranquil place with that. So your takeaway for this part, for feeling low: move. And move with intention. This is your day. Remember, one last thing as a takeaway, you might have thoughts that tell you, you know, I can't get out of bed, I can't go for that run, I can't blah, blah, blah. However, remember that thoughts are not truth. So you have the full capability to counter that with a physical activity, which then becomes reality, which becomes truth. So if you get those random voices, no, 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 can't, then just say, I am, and off you go. Do the walk, get out there, do the movement, the exercise. Remember, as we said, this doesn't mean massive 2-hour workouts or whatever the case is. It's just getting the body into a fluid state where it can generate oxygen. All right, I'm going to stop there before I get too carried away with this topic again. But I'm really stoked to see you here today and looking forward to seeing you for part 2. It's professionalism. No, it's not. It's perfectionism and failure to ask for help, or finding it difficult to ask for help. So that's part 2 in the next video. Looking forward to seeing you there, and lots of love.